Hey, YouTube. It's Jaden. Um, excuse me. Just woke up. Um, I know I made a video like 2 or 3 days ago. Uh, but something happened just recently to where I feel the need to make another video. Um, we, like, very recent, literally yesterday. Um, and I would like to think it's a highlight that I can share. Um, and I don't think I post too many highlights on this channel. I usually just talk about everyday things or embarrassing things, Um, and I get that philosophy from this YouTuber that I used to watch, and I still watch him, just not that often anymore. Um, he said it best, about like 12 years ago now. Are you done, dog? Like, for real? I'm sorry if you heard all of that. So, um, what was I saying? Oh, right. So yeah. So, I got like the philosophy of how I make my videos based on like what he said about like 12 years ago. And he got it from, like, I feel like I said this before too, but I'll reiterate it again. Um, and he was a Call of Duty YouTuber too, so it's like his videos were like completely different than the videos that I would, consider that I make to this day. Um, but he says that he posts like his everyday life, or his low lights, quote unquote, because those are things that people can relate to better than like their highlights. Um, it's funny because when he referred to that, he was talking about like Call of Duty things. He was just talking about like if he was playing well in the game, or if he was playing like pretty bad in the game, or if he was playing like relatively okay in the game, rather than uh, the people, like the other YouTubers he was comparing himself to, that would only post like their really good gameplays, you know. Um, so he was saying like people can always relate to like games, matches where they do like relatively okay or not too well, but nobody does amazing every single game. Um, and when I thought about that, um, I thought about just life in general, and it's like um, the same thing can be applied to just like making, I guess, this type of video, I guess, where it's like not everybody has a fantastic day. Not everybody only has highlights in their life. Um, everybody has like a relatively okay day, or they have embarrassing moments, and um, I talk about that. I talk about those days, right? Like I remember when I made that video about how I called that old lady like elderly, like, to her face when I was working at Capriati's, and I did it accidentally, like but I made the video on it because it was like, well, number one, it made me feel better, um, because I was thinking about it far too often. But number two, I would hope that would make somebody laugh, um, because I would never just want to talk about all of the good things that's happening in my life. Um, because again, that's not all that's happening in my life, and I don't want anybody to think that's everything that's happening in my life. So, with everything that I just said, uh, you know, maybe I will, talk about a highlight in my life, in that yesterday, um, I'm sorry, I just found out there's a scar on my knee. So yesterday, there was a Kwanzaa celebration, like a pre-Kwanzaa celebration, they call it, because well, today marks our last day of the the semester. So, and it's not even really classes today. It's really just like we're talking about like how to get a job, how to get a job with an Africology degree, um, because this isn't like a traditional Western degree. Like you can't, this is a degree where it's like HR looks at it and is like, what is Africology? You know what I mean? So our professor's gonna like kind of go over like she calls it like secrets of like how to get a job or like better chances of getting a job. But either way, that's besides the point. Yesterday was the pre-Kwanzaa celebration, um, and so with that being said, obviously I went. I have nothing better to do, and to be frank, I would want to celebrate Kwanzaa. I know my mother definitely doesn't. Um, it's more so. I think it's because of her naivety, but you know, I would want to celebrate Kwanzaa because of its importance to the community. Um, but I wouldn't want to support it just by the sheer importance if I don't understand it. You know what I mean? So that's why I went, because they were kind of teaching what Kwanzaa really meant. Um, because if I'm going to make it tradition in my family, I would definitely want to understand what it means. So I went to it and everything, and it was cool. Everything was dope. Saw a lot of my friends, um, saw some new people. Two of my professors were there, like to host it, obviously, and it was just a dope time. Like I heard a lot of spoken word, poetry, African dance, libation. That was cool. Um, Look that up. I'm just not gonna go into depth. Usually, when I go into depth, I go on tangents. Just look up what libation is. Um, Stuff like that. Um, so, so yeah, the pre Kwanzaa like party was really cool, and it was about an hour and a half. Um, it was about an hour and a half until everything was like settling down, and you know how like black people are when like we're settling down, but like we're not like all leaving. You know what I mean? Um, and like nobody's really cleaning up. Like the party's over, but it's like not really over. Um, so it's like 4:30, and everybody just has like their cake, and we're like eating it. It's funny. I guess you could say you could have your cake and you can eat it too. So either way, I'm having my cake and I'm eating it too. But I'm just sitting in a chair. I'm kind of just like, thinking to myself about like, um, I'm actually not really thinking. I'm just kind of like literally staring off into space, you know, and I'm staring, and I notice my one professor. She's like beelining my way, and I notice it, but I'm not like looking at her. I'm just like seeing like maybe she's trying to like walk past me or something. And then she sits down next to me and she's like, Jaden, I've been meaning to talk to you, specifically. And she says it in a like in a in a good way. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is a good thing. Um, and she probably is my favorite professor out of the three that I've had classes with thus far. Um, so either way, um, so she says, um, oh, and at the time, like where I'm sitting like behind like a friend of mine, um, and that's gonna be kind of important, kind of, I guess. So either way, she's she's sitting next to me, and she's like, and it's so crazy. She's like, well, she asked like, How did you feel about the Kwanzaa celebration? Have you ever, you know, celebrated Kwanzaa? You know, I give the answers of a black, of a black person who was kind of new to this type of Afrocentric culture. Like, no, I've never celebrated Kwanzaa, but I would love to, um, and yada yada yada. And so that was like her, I guess, like icebreaker because the real meat comes when she's like, she goes, well, I've been meaning to tell you, um, for a first year student, you write extremely well. She goes, for a first year student, you write extremely well. Um, and meanwhile, I'm like, I thought we were just having a conversation about like Kwanzaa or whatever. I'm over here eating my cake. I got like, I'm like, it's like in my mouth, so like I can't even like respond correctly. Like, she tells me like I write extremely well. So I'm like, but like my mouth is full, Um, but like I go like thank you, I'm like thank you. And she's like, yeah, no, like you are a fantastic writer. And check this. She goes, fall 2025, you need to apply for a PhD. I'm like, what? That is insane. Like, and that's when my friend, like, she's like, cause I say like she's kind of relatively close to me. She turns around and she's like, so like I hear it, and she hears it, and I'm like, what in the world? So I'm I'm like in shock, because I'm still I'm still going for my master's. Like, how do you do that? Um, I don't say that, but like that's what's in my mind. So either way, she's still speaking. She's like, I don't say this to, I don't say this often, and I don't tell it. Well, she's like, I don't tell this to students often. I certainly don't tell this to first year students often. Um, but I recognize how well your writing is, and I see something in you. I know like you're gonna put that into good use. I kid you not, I almost shed a thug tear right there. Like, I almost like I'm looking at my friend and she's like, cause like she knows that like I know that like I might cry right there, you know. Um, I'm like, what is going on? Like, why am I being bombarded with all this right now? Um, and so, like, she's like, and so my professor, she's like, I know you can use that for good use, and she goes, you know, and she points to my friend. She's like, well, I'm not gonna say her name, but she's like, you know her. Uh, she was a first year student as well, and you remind me a lot like her, you know, because she wasn't, well versed in Africology, just like you, um, but she wrote extremely well as well, and you know, look where she is now. And my friend, she's a teacher now. She's a TA. So, like, I'm hearing all of this, and I'm like, whoa, like, this is blowing my mind right now. And like one of the first things that I'm thinking is like, I can't wait to tell my mom this, um, because it's always been like a thing of mine to like, if something, like everything that happens to me I I want to make sure my mom's happy as well. Um, and so eventually she's like, yeah. So by fall 2025, apply for a PhD. Um, get your letters of recommendation. Come to me. You know, and do everything that you needed to do for your masters, and hopefully you get accepted. And then she goes, and she's leaving, and she goes, Dr. Reddick. And like, I feel my, like, face, like, when you feel your face, like, getting hot because, like, you feel the tears, like, coming up. But, like, I'm a thug. Like, I can't cry. I'm for sure not about to cry in front of women that aren't family. So, like, I feel it getting hot, but, like, I'm, like, kind of, like, trying to hold it down, you know what I mean? So, but it's so crazy for me to hear that as a first year student, and, like, I didn't even, like, initiate any of this. I wasn't, like, asking my professor, like, should I apply for a PhD or anything. Like, she came up to me and told me I should do it because I apparently write really well. um I don't know, that made my entire day. And when I came back home, obviously, I told my mom about it. She was happy. Um, I told my girlfriend about it. She was happy. Um, sure, I know my family gonna be like, "Who's your girlfriend?" But either way, yeah. So that was crazy. That was a crazy event for me. Um, that was insane. And I don't know. I feel a need to update update y'all on my status on becoming a doctor, or getting my doctorate, really. Uh, because apparently your boy is applying for it next year. I thought it was gonna be 3 years. I thought I was applying for it the fall of 2027. Your boy is applying for it fall of 2025. God'll do crazy things. So, yeah, that's all I got. Uh, but other than that, this will probably be my last video in for some time now. All right, peace.